Hello peeps, and welcome back to another one with us, the Review Bros, and today we're going to be getting into a little pre-workout known as Hail the Sun by the King's Lab. Sounds very cool, doesn't it? And it even looks pretty cool as well. Purple is my favourite colour, so I'll try to stay unbiased. But anyway, we'll be covering the usuals, the taste, price, label effects, and working out if it's worth picking up for you. And if you are new here and you do happen to like our videos, please do hit the like button, tick the sub button, tick the bell icon, so we try and put out a few reviews a week. But today, let's get into this one. So first segment is taste and mixability, and we're going to be trying out grape gummy worm. Also comes in a watermelon flavour, but have a little look at that. It looks like, at first I thought it was a worm. Do you know what, actually I think it is a worm wearing sunglasses. I don't know if it will focus, probably not, but you'll have to trust me. So it does look very funky. Obviously I've used it a few times, but let's check out the mixability first. Not the best in the world, but also not shocking. I'd say maybe slightly worse than average, but then again, it is a relatively loaded formula with a lot of different bits and pieces in it that could sort of explain a less than ideal mixability front, but I've never found it an issue when I'm drinking it. It generally just goes, but let's see how it tastes first and foremost. So I have to be honest right out the gate and say grape is never a flavour I'm enjoying with pre's. It just, for some reason, it just isn't. It's not on my flavour palette as an enjoyable one. So it is struggling right from the get-go on that front, but keeping an open mind. Is it a good grape? Is it a bad grape? I would have to say it's more leaning towards being a bad one. Obviously we have to stay 100% honest always, but I'll give it one more sip and I'll sort of give you a description of it. I guess it just doesn't taste as nice as what the friendly picture looks, or as I was hoping. It tastes a bit chemically. It tastes a bit bitter. There is obviously a grape flavour there, but it's sort of amongst the nastiness. So don't get me wrong, it's not absolutely horrid to the point you can't drink it, but it's definitely not one that anyone's going to be writing home about to say how nice it is. We have to get that straight. So if 5 out of 10 on the taste scale is bang average, let me have one more sip then. So I would honestly say it's above average in the sense of I can drink it, it's not making me pull any funny faces, it's not rancid. So I would give it a 6 out of 10. Like, it's a sliver above average, but it's not enjoyable, in my opinion. You might enjoy it, but anyway, flavour is the least important. You neck it, you get down the gym. Let's move into price. We are into price. So how much will it cost you to hail the sun? Well, you head over to the official website, thekingslab.fit, where you'll find this 25 serving container on there for exactly $50, or $2.50 a go. And if you work that out into pounds per the serving, it comes to £1.99. Now we have a consistent price scale that measures how expensive pre's are. 5 out of 10 is bang average on that scale. This comes in at a 3.5 out of 10. So it is a decent amount more expensive than your average pre-workout on the market, or your average price point, however you want to say it. So all we're going to have to do is hope that we're getting a better than average amount of ingredients and dosages, and of course real world effects, because that's the ultimate reason why you'd want to buy the pre in the first place. So let's get into it right now. So what exactly are we getting in this formula for that price point? Let's have a little look together. So we got 17.7 grams serving amount. And first up we have sodium as pink Himalayan salt, 97.5 milligrams, which is very specific. Now in terms of that dose itself, it is definitely a very low dose, so any benefit you'll get from that would be minimal, but obviously it's going to play into aiding you with your hydration and therefore pumps and endurance in the gym. So first up in the meat and potatoes part of this formula, we have citrulline malate 2:1, 3.5 grams. So we're not getting the most ideal amount of L-citrulline in the world, you know, a couple of grams odd. We normally like to see 3 to 4 grams pure L-citrulline as a minimum, but there is a reason for that and we'll come on to that shortly. But that is ingredient responsible for bumping up nitric oxide levels within the bloodstream, expanding your veins, increasing blood flow and helping you get a pump on, etc. Now, the reason they've dosed it at that, I presume, is because they've then got L-arginine at 3 grams, which plays into the same benefits as L-citrulline, because L-citrulline is the precursor to L-arginine. It just so happens that L-citrulline is more effective at getting the job done when it concerns increasing nitric oxide levels. But so looking at it from this perspective, L-arginine is a bit of a dated ingredient and obviously not as superior as citrulline, so it begs the question, why bother using it at all? However, because they've used it in combination with citrulline, it does give it a bit more merit than if it was just in here alone, L-arginine that is. So yeah, we should be looking at some synergy between the two to therefore bump up nitric oxide levels further and help again with pumps and blood flow. Then we move down to L-tyrosine at 2.5 grams, which is a really nice dose. Normally only see about a gram, although I will say on average it seems to be increasing these days. Maybe the supplement companies are sort of listening and tuning up the dosages across the board, because yeah, it seems to be getting decently dosed a lot more these days. So that's an amino acid again, that's going to help with your focus and your mood ultimately. Then we've got glycoside, 65% glycerol, 2 grams. You know, it's an alright dose in terms of what you would see in a pre. It's hard really to dose it any more than a few grams in a pre-workout powder form, because it can make the pre-workout suffer with clumping. This one hasn't been too bad, I will say, and I've had it open for a little while now, so fear not in this instance, but it can definitely cause clumping issues, especially if your pre's left open and in a non-ideal storing area, should we say, because it will attract moisture. And that sort of plays into its benefits, because in the body it does a similar sort of thing. It's a hyperhydration agent, it's an osmolyte, so it's going to pull in water into the muscle cell, causing hyperhydration, increased pump endurance in the gym, which is what we are after. Then we've got agmatine sulfate at 1 gram, really nice dose there. See anything from 500 milligrams up to a couple of grams. Gram is about in the middle, so that's going to help again with regards to nitric oxide production. It's going to work alongside the L-arginine and the L-citrulline. It works from a slightly different pathway, and it has some additional benefits in that it can help you stay pumped for longer, because it works as a bit of an arginase inhibitor, and it can also help with pain reduction from a neurological standpoint. Then we've got alpha GPC, 50%, 750 milligrams, a really nice dose there. That's obviously a choline donor, one of the best ones, if not the best one in our opinion, although they are trying to phase it out in this country right now. So that is going to help, again, to increase your acetylcholine levels within the brain, increasing your focus and athletic performance in the gym. And you may or may not know, but you do in fact deplete choline quite heavily, acetylcholine, when you're training. So it's good to have more in your back pocket. Then we've got L-norvaline, which is 250 milligrams, and funny enough, that's an arginase inhibitor as well. So I should have probably expanded on that a little bit earlier, but what that's going to do is reduce how quickly the body can break down L-arginine in the bloodstream, therefore keeping you pumped for longer, keeping your nitric oxide retention higher for a longer period of time. So it's going to help to not only get the pump, but stay pumped for longer. Although it's a bit of a controversial ingredient, some data shows that it does have some negatives, so you don't see it all too often. You used to see it used more years ago, but you know, we've got nothing against it personally. When we use it here and there, I don't see anything wrong with it if you're using it intermittently. Then we've got caffeine anhydrous at 250 milligrams, which is about 2.5 cups of instant coffee, you know, strong ones. A little bit more than an energy drink, so it's sufficient. It's probably 50 to 100 milligrams less than what you would typically see in pre's today, although we're not done on the stimulant standpoint yet, so I will get into more in a minute. But in terms of the caffeine anhydrous so far, we're looking at a bit lower than average, but definitely enough to feel, and it will definitely, well, for your average Joe anyway, it's going to wake you up, you know, wake the brain up and get you moving, and it forms the backbone for most other ingredients to work on top of from a stimulation focus standpoint. Then we've got theobromine, 98%, 200 milligrams, a really nice dose there. Another mild stimulant to work alongside the caffeine to help with your mood, energy levels, and does have some blood flow benefits as well. That's that ingredient in chocolate that dogs are allergic to. A little fun fact for you, we say that every time. Then we've got decaffeine malate, or dicaffeine malate, 100 milligrams. Normally you yield 75% of that as caffeine, so obviously we're looking at an additional 75 milligrams of caffeine, topping up the total to 325, which is pushing it more into the normal realms of what you would typically see in a pre-workout. And then if you factor in a theobromine as well, which is obviously going to yield some caffeine, then we're definitely reaching that that average amount. But dicaffeine malate is a slower digesting form of caffeine, meaning it's going to kick in a little bit later into your gym session. It's an anti-crash mechanism, so it's going to stop you suddenly the caffeine anhydrous wearing off and then you crashing. So instead of that happening, as the caffeine anhydrous is starting to wear off, the dicaffeine malate is going to come in and ease that come down, if any. You know, the whole idea of it is that there isn't a come down. Then we've got estrogen panax, 50 milligrams, which is a dose we normally like to see, and that's a digestive aid. So it's going to help get all of these ingredients through you as quickly and efficiently as possible in the window of time we have prior to training. Then we have Halostachys caspica extract, 50 milligrams. Now you might be thinking, oh, that sounds very close to halostachine, which we do see in pre-workouts, and that's because halostachine is the alkaloid within this ingredient, which is a plant. And that's going to yield more stimulatory benefits, more fat burning benefits, playing alongside the aforementioned stimulants. You don't see it all too often in pre's, not super often, especially not listed as the plant itself, but we'll have to see what it can give us. It's normally has quite a short half-life, it kicks in relatively quick and then it's gone. So it's just like a little tiny stick of dynamite from a stimulatory standpoint. And then we've got alpha-yohimbine at 1 milligram, and I will say I'm very happy that it's in there only a milligram, because that's about as much as I can handle before I get the negative effects of this ingredient, which include but not limited to jitters, dribbles, cold sweats, just general nastiness, fever-like feelings, which I'm sure if you've used it before you'll know what I'm talking about and hopefully won't think I'm a complete lunatic describing it like that. But we have another stimulant, definitely more of the more potent end. As you can see there, you don't need much of it to get the job done, but it's going to rev you up, get you moving, you know, increase your energy levels, and it does have some fat burning benefits as well to boot. So that does wrap the label off, guys. I do like the uniqueness of it. I think it's definitely a cool one. It's ticking all the boxes from where I'm sitting. It's ultimately going to come down to how it comes together in the gym. So stay tuned, and we'll be back and we shall let you know. Okay guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the real world effects of Hail the Sun. In the several times we've used it, and we'll start off at the beginning. And we would normally talk about beta-alanine because it's generally the first thing you feel, but it's not in this pre-workout. So that could be a positive or a negative depending on if you like the itchy tingly type feeling. I'm personally indifferent to it. Like, I do enjoy it, but I also can enjoy a pre-workout when it doesn't have it in it. And logically speaking, you can add it to a pre-workout, but you can't take it out of a pre-workout that's got it in it. So I like having the option of pre's on the market that don't always have that ingredient, especially as the benefits of it in terms of why it's actually in pre-workouts can be a bit, you know, neither here nor there, because it's one of those ones you've got to saturate yourself with daily. And, you know, most people aren't taking a pre-workout with beta-alanine at a sufficient dose every day of the week, are they? Let's be honest with ourselves. So yeah, the benefits are kind of negligible anyway. So it more comes down to the sense of urgency it can sometimes give you from that itchy tingly feeling. But anyway, I will not digress any further on that, because you don't notice it kicking in from that feeling, obviously. But what you do notice is a definite sense of urgency, heart rate goes up, alertness comes in, you're ready to get cracking. It gets you off the sofa within 20 to 30 minutes. You definitely feel energetic. I would say this pre-workout, the standout point to me at least, is definitely that sense of urgency right out the gate. It really does get you moving. And I attribute that mainly down to the halostachine and the alpha-yohimbine. Like, they are two very harsh stimulants that play with the fight or flight mechanisms within the body. It sends you into that get moving mode. It really does come through clear in this pre-workout, and it actually feels a little bit stronger than it even declares on paper, I will add. Like, I wasn't actually expecting to feel that level of sense of urgency based on the label, so I was impressed. It gets you moving, and whilst we're talking about the energy, I would say it lasts about 3 hours. I mean, I took this 3 or 4 hours ago now at this point, and I still feel switched on. There's no crash, you know, I feel absolutely fine. I'm about to eat my next meal. It hasn't crushed my appetite. I feel like I could also sleep okay, and I have slept okay on previous times I've used it. The energy is very consistent. I will say, although it kicks in quite harshly and strongly after about half an hour, it does actually level off quite nicely throughout the rest of your gym session. I would say the energy honestly feels somewhere between a strong daily driver and an entry-level stim junkie. Like, I wouldn't firmly put it in either category. I'd say it's sitting somewhere in between. So it's probably a little bit too strong for most people to take daily, but not strong enough for me to say limit yourself to once or twice a week. So yeah, 3 or 4 times a week, you know, spitballing, I would say most people would be fine with taking it. Obviously that's down to your own personal preference and discretion, so who am I to tell you? That's just how I would want to approach this one. So yeah, it's definitely on the stronger end of pre's as a whole, but not life-ruiningly strong, because it doesn't come with any negatives off the back of that energy. Nothing nasty comes of it, so I do appreciate that, because it obviously allows you to get an effective gym session in, get all your meals in and sleep and recover, and you know, that's why we go to a gym in the first place, isn't it? It's to make gains. We don't want to be flapping around and missing meals and up all night, do we? Not ideally. And that leads me nicely into the focus, and I would say the focus is very much productive. You feel locked in. It's one of those ones where you just want to get your music in, get your head down, train. You don't really want to talk to anyone. You just want to get cracking. I wouldn't say it put me in a great mood. It didn't put me in a bad mood either. It just put me in the zone is the best way to say it. So it's one of those ones where if you're someone that perhaps trains alone, you just stick your music in and get your session done, it's probably going to be a great pre-workout for you, because it really goes down that route on its own. But if you're someone that likes to be quite sociable, or want a super mood boosting product, or one that sends you into an angry spiral, then it's not ticking either of those boxes. So it just depends what you're after from a focused headspace standpoint. Now, there's no illicits in this, in terms of no DMHA, DMA and things of that nature, so you don't get any euphoric, off your head, floaty, high feeling on this pre-workout. As I say, it's a very locked in, productive type feeling focus, which is great for my personal preference. Then that leads me into the pumps, which are equally fantastic. I've got to say I was impressed by them, and the label is pretty stacked out with pump ingredients. You know, it's got definitely a fair few bits in there that can get the job done, and it did come through as such in the gym. I got pumped quickly on it, and pumps lasted beyond the gym session itself, I would like to think anyway. Like, my muscles still feel a bit tight now even. Done chest and triceps today on it. So yeah, the pumps are actually really good as well. So it's ticking every box. You know, it's hitting energy to a good degree, it's hitting focus to a good degree, it's hitting pumps to a good degree, from a vascularity and a hyperhydration standpoint. And then obviously in turn, that's going to help with your endurance. All 3 of those elements are ultimately going to help with your endurance, the energy, focus and pumps, aren't they? If we're getting down to brass tacks. So yeah, I've had a good gym session every time I've used this product. It's very consistent. It just feels good, it feels purposeful, it feels like it's putting you on a mission in the gym, and that's exactly the type of pre that I enjoy. And it says on here, godly pumps, divine energy and focus, we're getting godly now, and resurrecting mood elevation. Oh, it is very religious sounding, isn't it? But yeah, honestly, I personally really enjoyed it. If I'm to be ultra nitpicky, I would say, you know, get rid of the L-arginine, increase L-citrulline to 6 grams of pure L-citrulline, maybe up glycerol to 3 grams, you know, just for a bit more juicy pump from that standpoint. Agmatine you could increase to 1.5 grams very easily. And to be honest with you guys, that's all I would change. And those are very small nitpicks, you know, that's just for the sake of me saying what I would change. But it comes through perfectly fine in the gym, in the real world, and that's what we're here for ultimately. So, based on the price point, you know, hopefully we can get a discount code from these guys, and if we do, I'll pin that in the comments below. But on the price point as it stands, I would say it's maybe a tiny bit expensive for what you're getting, just ever so slightly, but definitely not a rip-off by any stretch. I would just say that I would like it to be ever so slightly cheaper, personally. But I would definitely recommend it on the price point. I would say shortlist it if you're in the market for a pre-workout as described. So yeah, it's obviously not suitable for beginners, it's a bit too strong. Intermediate people be fine. Stim junkies that want something a little bit more friendly and less illicit for days when they want to pull back a little bit, I would say, yep, it would tick that box for you guys. So yeah guys, I really do think that does sum it up. It's a really good pre-workout. It hasn't got any glaring holes in it. It ticks all the boxes that you'd want from a pre-workout. So yeah, why not give it a go? So yeah, let me know if you've used it, if you want to use it, what you think of it, all of that down below. Anything else you want to see us review on the channel, also let us know. And as always, stay stimmed. I know you will.